Yes, welcome guys. Good morning. Thank you guys all for being here. So today is the last day of our Own Your Power series. And it's been an exciting last couple of weeks owning our power. If you have been here, who feels like they've been trying to own their power in the last couple of weeks? Awesome. So today I want to talk about doing your best. So Nancy's covered a variety of topics, and last week was prayer, and the other week was Holy Spirit, and we want to do our best. We don't want to, here, let's try to do a prayer, and then you're trying to, have 45, minutes of prayer every morning, and that's okay. Like, if you don't hit that mark, we want to do our best. We want to make movement into the direction of owning our power. So when I was thinking about this teaching, I thought about, okay, what is own your power? When I was thinking about my teaching, it's called Do Your Best. When I was thinking about what do your best meant to me, I thought about, this memory came to me when I was about 3rd or 4th grade. I studied super hard for this test, and I just really wanted to get an A+. So I studied, and the test came back, and I got 98%. And seriously, I was devastated. Like, I really could not, and it was that bad. I remember it to this day, and I seriously can't even tell you what I did yesterday. But I remember that day, and how I was I was so crushed that I didn't get the 100%. Not only that, I guess, back in the day, they told everybody what your score was. So my friend, I want to say she got 100%, but I'm pretty sure she also got the bonus questions right. So I think she got like 102. And I'm like, dang, man, after the end of the test, I'm like, well, I did everything I could do. I really studied, and I felt good about the test, and I couldn't believe that I only got 98%. And so, not only that, but those are one of the memories that I have that really just kind of skyrocketed my way of thinking, just being really pessimistic about life. Even if you try your hardest, doesn't matter. Like, you're not going to make the mark anyways. You're not good enough. All of these lies that I started to believe that I just wasn't good enough. Whatever I tried, even if I put my heart into it, it's not good enough. And like I said, we've been in this Own Your Power series the last couple of weeks, and is that a lie? Yeah, that is totally a lie. We can do our best and let God do the rest. So we're all going to say that today, and you know what? Every time it's in my notes, we're all going to say it together, because you know what? I forgot to include you guys in my teaching, but luckily, I was doing my best, but luckily, Martha said in the meeting, hey, let us know when we need your help, and I was like, I forgot. So, all right, so let's say it together. Do your best and let God do the rest. Okay, now you guys know what to say, so we'll do it again. Do your best and let God do the rest. Awesome. Okay, so why don't we do our best? Why does it feel like when we do our best, it's not good enough? So let's be real and see what doesn't work for us in our lives. What does that look like for us to do our best? And so what I've learned in thinking back on that memory, doing your best doesn't look like getting 100% on the test. That's unrealistic. So we want to be in reality. Reality is our friend. And so we want to look at some of the things that disempower us, and also how we can let God in and let God do the rest. So we're going to look at this amazing story. I love this story. Nancy has taught about this story before, and it just excites me. It's about these 4 lepers, these 4 guys, and they are they're actually outside of a city they're in a famine. So the city is in a famine. They have no food, and I can't even imagine. This is how bad it is. 2 ladies. The chapter before at Kings is like, the Old Testament is like Jerry Springer, like it's like drama. If you guys want to read some drama, read this 2 Kings. But anyways, so it's so bad that these 2 ladies kill their children to eat them because they had no food. I mean, I don't even understand how bad it has to be that you kill your child to eat them so you can survive. You know, I mean, to me, I'm like, kill me so my kids can die. You know what I mean? But it's so bad that they killed their kids to survive and to eat. So this is where these guys are at. I mean, so that it's like, it's dark, right? So these guys are right outside of the city. So they're outside the gate. They have leprosy. And so it's really bad. So we're going to see what happens when all of your options look really crappy. How do we do our best when things look bleak, when they look dark? Because that's really the reality. I think that, can we do our best when things are awesome and things seem fabulous and you can, yeah, I want to, if I was for sure to play the lottery, you know, like, yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to spend the money because I know I'm going to win. Things are not always, you don't get, it's not for sure. You know, you do have to make effort and movement in our lives, even though you're not sure of what the outcome can be. And so I think this story is more realistic of what our everyday lives look like. Things can be hard. Sometimes our options that we have, we don't want these options. You know, they're not fun. And so we're going to see in this story what happened. So if we can pull it up, it's 2 Kings 7:3. It says, "Now there were 4 leprous men at the entrance of the gate, and they said to one another, 'Why are we sitting here until we die? If we say we will enter the city, the famine is in the city, and we shall die there. And if we sit here, we die also. Now therefore come, let us surrender to the army of the Syrians. If they keep us alive, we shall live. And if they kill us, we shall only die.'" I mean, 3 options they have here. They suck, right? I mean, all options lead to like possible death, basically. And haven't you felt like that before, where all your options, you're just like, man, I don't want to do this, you know, I don't want to have that hard conversation, I don't want to, I hate my job, but I also don't want to go and look for another one. I hate interviews, and you know what I mean? Like, we have all of these options sometimes that just are hard. And so these guys, we're going to break it down, what their options were and what they said. And so these guys, they definitely had a right to be upset, like and to feel hopeless. You stay in the city, you're going to die. There's no food there. They sit here at the gate, they're going to die. If they go to the enemy camp, they can probably, there's a chance that they can live, but they can be enslaved. I mean, like, do you really want to go somewhere and be a slave? Like, that does not look fun either, right? But these guys, they were realistic about where they were at and all of these worst case scenarios. So going back to the city, they were realistic to see, if I go back there, I'm going to die. And so many times for all of us, we want to go back to where it's comfortable. You know, your old behaviors. You know what, I guess what I'm doing right now isn't working, so let me go back to that old behavior. Let me go back to that old bad relationship. Let me go back to that old job that I actually hated. Or let me just, you know, you fill in the blank. You know where you've been more than I do. You know what I mean? But these guys are real. They see, if I go back to where I came from, it's going to be a slow death. You know, I'm going to die there. The other thing is, sit here shall we die. That's my favorite verse. And that verse always comes up for me when I'm in hard situations, because I get stuck sometimes. Stuck in fear or whatever it is I'm stuck in. And I tell myself, am I going to sit here until I die? You know, like, I got to be real. Like, if we stay here, if we don't make any changes, like that hamster wheel, you keep going and going, you're like, all your energy is expended, but you're not going anywhere. And that's what that looks like for them and for us. It's passive. If you're not going to make a choice to move and to do something, it's still you're making a choice to stay there. So it is a choice, but it's passive, it's not deliberate, and usually when we stay where we're at, things don't magically get better. That is not what happens. Things get worse. If you want to just stay stuck, that doesn't lead to growth. So the last option we have here is going forward. And we all have that option. All of you, today's a new day. I love mornings. I'm not a morning person, but I love mornings because it reminds me today's a new day. Like, I don't care if I had a horrible day yesterday, today's a new day, and it's filled with possibilities. And so these guys, they were smart. They said, okay, you know what? The only chance we have to live is to go to the enemy camp. And so that's what they did. I'm sure that was very difficult for them they have leprosy, traveling to get there. I'm sure it was hard. And then going to an enemy camp, I'm sure they were afraid for their lives. They could have went to the enemy camp and then, boom, got slaughtered. Or maybe they would have gotten tortured or whatever. I have no idea. And they didn't either. But they were like, let's take the chance. I'm going to take this risk and see if we can live. Because obviously, if they're in a city where mothers are killing their kids to eat, being a slave is better than staying there. And so, moving forward, what came to my mind was a lot of us have been reading the Entitlement Cure. And in the book, the Entitlement Cure by Dr. John Townsend, he talks about NHT, your next hard thing to do. And even I was seeing this thing on Oprah yesterday, how she was like, what's your best next choice? Okay, and so, but in the Entitlement Cure, it's called NHT, your next hard thing. And again, hard, that's going to be real. Traveling to the enemy camp is hard. And sometimes we don't make choices because we think we're waiting for that easy option. No. What's going to lead to growth and what leads going to be leading to movement in our lives, it's probably going to be hard. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be risky. And so we want to look at what is disempowering us. Some of the thought processes that some of us come to our minds, that some of the lies, some of the ways of thinking, some of the old patterns, we want to look at that. So I made a list of some of the things that cause inaction or passivity in our lives from doing that next hard thing. The next hard thing is going to lead us to growth. It's going to lead us to movement. You're including God in that. Like, God's going to be there. Because again, do your best and let God do the rest, right? So one of the first thing I wrote down was wishing. And so I unfortunately do this a lot. Wish things were different. And I'm sure that these guys, they could have sat there and be like, wow, I really wish I can have a steak right now. I really wish that I can have some food. And we can get stuck there in that place of wishing and not make movement in our lives. For me, what I'm working on right now is my role as a mom and disciplining the kids and my anger. That's a huge thing that I'm working on right now. And so that's my NHT, the next hard thing I'm trying to work on. I'm just saying, trying to work on it. Okay, I'm trying to do my best. So doing this teaching and preparing was really helping me along. And so for me, what I noticed was I wish that I told the girls once, hey girls, pick up your backpacks. And then they did it. And cool. I think that if that happened, I would be like, woo, this is love this. This is easy. This is wonderful. Parenting is awesome. But that is not what it looks like. And so my wishing things were easy and wishing things were different with them, it just stirs up more anger because I'm just sitting here stuck wishing things were easy, and that is not the reality of what parenting looks like. Kids need reminders, kids need structure, kids need discipline, and all that. That's hard. It's not easy to parent, yeah, really. And so that's for all of us. Haven't you ever said that? I wish this would happen and then things would be awesome. Mm-hmm. I wish this didn't happen to me, then my life would be awesome. If I would have only chosen that other job opportunity that came up, man, I would have been, I would have been doing something I loved. I know that I'm not the only one who has wished for things to be different. And that's fine, we can have these thoughts, but we don't want to get stuck there. We want to move past that and see what is realistic. And also wishing things that were different. It's just it's an energy suck. We stay stuck. It's not reality. We want to deal with reality. We don't want to continue to just go in this cycle of wishing things were different. And so that's what's cool about these guys, is that they were real about what their options were. And it says clearly, hey guys, we can stay stuck and we're going to die. We can go to the enemy camp and see if maybe we can have a chance to live there. So we want to be real about what are our options. So where are you feeling stuck at? What is your NHT? And we want to see, let's be real what my options are here. Another one is focusing on things that are out of your control. Another parenting thing, I cannot control these little people. As much as I try, that does not work. It just doesn't, But how many times have you tried to manipulate situations and try to control how somebody else felt? Either trying to make them happy or trying to make them angry or whatever. We try to control things, And sometimes we just focus on things that are out of our control, like the economy. Oh, it's so bad, it's so bad, it's so bad. And we focus on these things, but what can you do? We don't want to stay focused on how how somebody else treats you. You have no control over how somebody responds to you. You have no control over a lot of things. That's the thing that Nancy has been talking about the last couple of weeks, is the circle of concern and the circle of influence. What do you have influence over in your life? So we want to take a look at that. Seeing what, we just don't want to stay stuck in the things that are out of your control. Another control thing is people take this stance that God is in control. God is in control, and so that because God's in control, I guess He wanted, for me, when I fill in the blank, God must have not wanted me to have a dad, or else He would have changed my dad, and my dad would have been in my life, and then I would have had that family structure that I so wanted. No, God does not have control over what you choose to do. God is almighty and God is all powerful, but I'm sorry, He cannot control what you choose to do, or the next person that's sitting next to you. And I can see that very clearly in my parenting, because again, I say, hey guys, don't touch the iron. What do? Touch the iron and they get burnt. Did God want, for this child to be burnt? Would I want that for my child to be burnt? No. I can share the consequences. If you touch the iron, it's gonna hurt. So you're gonna get an owie, but it's still their choice on what they are going to do. And so a lot of times people don't realize when you just say, okay, I'm gonna sit back and just, God's in control, so I'm just gonna sit back and wait. Many times what happens is, hey, I'm waiting for the man from the Lord. So I'm just going to sit here. It's a fabulous example. It talks about in Find a Date Worth Keeping book. Again, that's by Dr. Cloud, where he talks about this woman who's just sitting at home waiting for this guy from the Lord. God is in control. I guess God wants a good man for me, so I'm just going to sit here and wait till He comes. And I was telling Allie this example, my daughter, and I was like, yeah, you know what? The UPS guy might come by, but that doesn't mean that he's the man from the Lord, You have to make some actions. You have to do your best, and let God do the rest. God definitely has power, but the thing is that it takes out the choice that we all have today. It takes out your responsibility and the things that you do have control in over your life. We definitely want to include God in our lives, but we want to see that God has given us choice. And you know what? That's owning our power. We have choice in our lives, and that's an amazing thing. And God wants to be there for us every step of the way. And the cool thing, though, is that God can turn bad situations into good ones. For me, as far as having that missing father in my life, God has provided other men in my life to be there. God has shown me what an amazing father He is. God has definitely filled in the gaps for me in my life. And so God can do that. But we want to see that we have choice. We have free will. So the next way of thinking is comparison. Like when I took that test in 4th grade, probably I wouldn't have felt so bad getting a 98%. Because come on, right? That was good. Good job, right? But it wasn't good enough for me because I saw my friend who got 102 or whatever she got. And I was like, dang, like, I couldn't even get the bonus questions right. Like, I totally suck. And I got spun, my mind got spun out of control thinking about how I cannot compare, and other people got 100% too. And so I'm like, sitting here thinking, why couldn't I do that? What did I do that wasn't good enough? And I do that sometimes too with, how come I don't look like that after 9 months postpartum? How come these other moms have super patience with their kids and I'm like losing my mind, and just comparing yourselves to other people, that doesn't help. These guys, the lepers weren't comparing themselves to other people. Oh, cool! Look at those people. They're sitting there in the city. At least they're not outside outside the city gates. They could have been trapped in that comparison. Oh, look at those other people. They have such a fabulous life. If we were only there, No, like comparing yourselves to other people doesn't help. So what doing my best looks like compared to doing your best, it's gonna look different. So we need to be in reality of that. Sometimes if it's studying so hard and you get a 98%, that's awesome. You did your best. You can have peace in that. And somebody else could do their best and it's 50%. But you know what? You went into it doing your best with what you have. And so there's a lot to that. And so again, I just, my fourth grade self and what I want to share with you guys today is, it just doing your best, it doesn't always look like this huge success in life. It's sometimes doing your best does look like that 98%. You know what I mean? And so another thing that doesn't help us is fears. I kind of talked about that earlier. Fears of being afraid to make a mistake. Like these guys could have got stuck in fear and stayed there because they see that, you know what, if I'm so afraid of going to the enemy camp, I'm going to just stay here, I'm not going to make a choice. And for us, we have fears what we're going to look like to other people, fear of looking stupid, fear of the unknown outcome, fears of not being good enough. There's so many fears that can come up for us. Like I shared a couple weeks ago, the last time I taught, how I was really stuck in fear preparing for my teaching. So I did nothing. Like I couldn't even write down some notes because I was just stuck in fear. And so, I'm just like, man, it's crazy what fear, the power of fear can have in our lives. Like, I couldn't believe I was so afraid that I couldn't even jot down words. You know what I mean? And that's just like, oh, I hate that. I hate that. And so I do want to address fears. And so sometimes another thing that comes up is when we are so afraid of making that move, that next mistake, other things seem urgent. And so like Dr. Townsend talks about how you go to work and you have that tough conversation with a coworker or a client, that all of a sudden, like cleaning out your email inbox is urgent. Man, this is super disorganized. Let me go and clean out my email inbox. Let me filter through here. How many times have you had like so many things to do or something that you really urgently needed to do, but Facebook sounded way better. So you're like on Facebook for hours. I mean, that has happened to me. Like when I was trying to do the teaching before, when I got stuck, I checked Facebook. I was scrolling through, you know what I mean? And sometimes we just avoid what we really need to do. And because a lot of times we're just so stuck in fear, we get stuck in those thoughts that other things that all of a sudden seem so important. And I was like, I do need to organize my email inbox. I have 2,000 emails that are unread. No, that was fine the last 2 weeks that it was that I had 2,000 emails. You know what I mean? It's okay. So, but we don't want to get stuck in fear. And so, an amazing verse that really speaks to the fear in me, what I want to share today, is John 3:17. And so John 3:16 is the popular verse that said, God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, Jesus Christ, and this is right after, and it says, for God did not send his son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved.